This is Task for the Weekend, September 4th, 2021. This is Susan Bradley for AskWoody.com. So this week I'm going to talk about Bitlocker, and specifically in regards to updating or patching. Because sometimes I've seen where people have installed updates, and right after the installed updates they get hit with this lovely screen that says enter the recovery key for this drive. And the first time you see it, you're going like, oh my gosh, where is my Bitlocker recovery key? Now keep in mind, there are certain times where devices such as Surface devices and certain Dell PCs, that they will encrypt it for you and save it up in a special location, and I'll show you that in just a bit. But how do you check to see if you have Bitlocker on a drive or not? There's a couple of ways. There's a PowerShell way, there's a command line way, but you can also just look at plain old Windows Explorer, click on my computer, right mouse click on any of the drives out there, and see if the option is there to turn on Bitlocker. If it says to turn off Bitlocker and there's a padlock on it, then, and you don't know what that password is, then right now turn it off, or log into the link that I've got in the blog post and see if your Bitlocker key is backed up there. If it says to turn on Bitlocker, then Bitlocker is not on, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is my computer, and I have several drives, and I'm just going to go out here to the USB drive as soon as I find where my mouse is hiding on me. There we go, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to right mouse click, and you see where it says turn on Bitlocker? Obviously that means I do not have Bitlocker turned on this USB drive. So I'm going to turn it on just to show you what the process is like, and it's going to initialize the drive, and it's going to ask me. Now I do not believe this computer in particular has a TPM, so it needs to do it with a password rather than saving this on the TPM chip. And then it's going to say, whoops, might help if I type the same password twice. Let's try that again. Can't type and talk at the same time. Hopefully that's the same. And see how it says save to a file, print the recovery key, or save to your Microsoft account. So I'm going to click up there, and again, especially in a Surface device and in some of the Dell devices, this process is actually done for you behind the scenes, and you may not realize it's there. And the only way that you know that you've done it is if you see this encryption on that drive, or you go up to the place. We're going to start encrypting. Or you go up to the place on the Microsoft account, and you can see that there's saved passwords up there. The other hint that you know that a drive has Bitlocker on it is see the padlock on it? So again, if you go into my computer and you see a padlock, that's a sign that you've got drive encryption turned on. Now I've gone up here into my Microsoft account Bitlocker recovery keys, and these are old ancient Surface devices that I haven't had in years, but I just keep them around to demonstrate so I can show people how these keys are kept up in the account, the Microsoft account. If you have joined a educational unit or a business, sometimes the Bitlocker keys are up in what's called Azure AD. So hopefully, if you get a situation where you boot a system and it asks for a Bitlocker recovery key and you have no idea what they're talking about and you have no idea where there's Bitlocker recovery key, either come into the Microsoft account Bitlocker recovery process or go into this Azure account process and hope and pray that there's a password up there. And especially for those of you during the pandemic that have been doing things with educational organizations, they may have joined you with their Azure AD, and in the process, hopefully they didn't inadvertently turn on Bitlocker, but there's times when IT divisions turn on things and they don't realize they've turned it on. So look in those two places to see if your Bitlocker keys are up there. As I said, Surface devices will do this if you join with a Microsoft account. Dell will do this on certain systems, again, if you join with a Microsoft account. And they save those Bitlocker recovery keys up in the Microsoft account process. And like I said, the first time, and I will say this, updates will trigger sometimes the inadvertent request for a Bitlocker. Bitlocker is supposed to play nice with Windows Update, and 99.9% of the time it does. And then there's that 0.1% of the time that you just about have a heart attack when it doesn't work, and it requests the recovery key. And you just hope that it's up there. Well, rather than hope, again, go out to My Computer, see if any of your drives have this padlock. And if you know it has a padlock, and you know you've got the recovery key backed up, or you know you have it printed out, then you're in good shape. And furthermore, if you know you have a backup somewhere, and you know you have a cloud backup, or whatever you want, to double check and make sure that you know exactly what that recovery key is. If you come out here to My Computer and you see a padlock like this, and you don't remember what that recovery key is, what I'd recommend that you do is come out here, click on either Change Bitlocker Password and change it, or Manage Bitlocker and turn it off. Because there's nothing worse on a system where you do not know the password and something happens to your machine and you can't get into it, because I guarantee you there is no process in the world to recover this password if you lose it. So back it up or turn off Bitlocker. Because if you do not know where that recovery key is, if you've not printed it out or backed it up somewhere, I guarantee you will never be able to get in that drive. And unless you have another backup someplace else that you can get into, you can't get into that sucker. So plan ahead. Again, you want to make sure you look in Microsoft account, and if you don't find anything there and you know you've been associated with either a business or an educational institution, check out the Microsoft Azure account, because those are the two places that Microsoft will grab that key and back it up. And again, it saves those recovery keys up there, and then it's just a matter of printing it out and group by group sticking it in there, and it will then boot back up and you'll be back in business. And you will have a slight heart attack and you'll calm down and say, okay, I never want to go through that again. And then you'll decide how to better back up those recovery keys. Either print them out somewhere, put another location, or again, you may decide that depending on where you have your device, it may be better for you to turn off Bitlocker. In businesses, we tend to turn on Bitlocker. I have a situation with my dad where sometimes he's away from his house, so he wants Bitlocker on. But we have his key backed up. So again, it just depends on your comfort level of where you've got that Bitlocker recovery key backed up, because if you don't know where it is, you will not get back into your drive, you will not get back into your data. So again, this Bitlocker doesn't magically turn on when updates occur. Guaranteed that never happens. Patches do not turn on Bitlocker. However, patches can trigger a recovery key. And if you don't remember setting it up, and certain Dells and Surface devices, it will actually go through the process and you don't realize it of turning on Bitlocker and backing up that key to an online account, and you may not be aware that it's there. So again, certain Dells, Surface devices, make sure you understand what's going on behind the scenes. Look at File Explorer, look at that drive and see if it's encrypted, and see if you want that encryption or not. And just to remember, we're coming up, we're going to be not quite changing the MS DEF CON. We have another couple of days before we're going to change it to DEF CON 2. If you want to get an alert in the form of either a text message to your phone or Twitter, we've got Twitter currently set up. Texting is still in beta testing. I will be releasing it from beta testing after this next week's process, but stay tuned. We've got 2 ways that you can get proactive alerts to your phone or to your Twitter account of when the MS DEF CON changes. As always, have a great week. Newsletter comes out tomorrow. We're still currently on MS DEF CON 4, meaning that updates can be installed. I recommend you install 21H1 at this time. I'm just about ready to say, hey, 21H2 is probably right around the corner, so I'm going to probably urge you to put in a target release version to hold back on 21H2. And we've got Windows 11 coming around the corner October 5th. Until next time, this is Susan Bradley for AskWitty.com.